Welcome in, everybody. If this is your first time joining Whatnot Sellers, my name is Kenny. I'm a community manager here at Whatnot, and our team really focuses on developing programs that seek to educate and inspire sellers, and at the same time, build a human-to-human connection, right? And so I'm on the community team, and we believe very deeply in community, really, for lack of a better word. Obviously, Whatnot offers that in spades, and it's a very special component of the live kind of the e-commerce experience on this platform is the substrate of community. And so we do that through a lot of different ways as a team. And so we do IRL meetups, and we do webinars, and we do other kinds of programs. And part of those is actually this channel here. And so this is the official Whatnot seller facing account on Whatnot. And so if you're just tapping into this for the first time, recommend, if you're a seller, drop a follow to this account and you bookmark any of the upcoming shows that might be interesting for you. It's a really great place. We do a lot of different kind of formats. Sometimes I'll interview internal folks like Wesley here, aka Bug. We're going to introduce him in a second. Absolute legend. Sometimes we'll interview sellers, right? And everything like that. Sometimes we'll talk about product updates. So just a good channel for you all to kind of stay in the loop on what's trending, what's current at Whatnot from a seller's point of view. Okay, today's topic I'm really very, very excited about. It's something that whether you're a brand new seller, never gone live, or an experienced, successful seller, it touches every seller. And so we're going to be talking about show quality production, or show production quality, I should say. And so we're talking about everything from lighting to camera to staging. We'll touch on some more advanced stuff like OBS, background, all that kind of thing. Look, at the end of the day, your live stream is your storefront, right? So it's a very, very important component to building trust. And I want to kind of the better your show looks from an audio video perspective, the clearer it is, the better the background, all that sort of stuff, all kind of at the end of the day lends itself to viewers converting to buyers through trust. And so, yeah, super excited. Over the next 40 minutes, we're going to talk about a lot of stuff. So I mentioned we're talking about lighting, talk about mic, noise, camera angles, stability, background, product visibility, rehearsal mode, OBS basics, everything. And to get us through all of that, I've got, honestly, our in-house production expert and my friend. This is Wesley, but y'all probably know him by Bug. Shout out to you, Bug. Thank you so much for being here, man. And I think you and I have done one of these, but it was over a year ago. And so
While
definitely
back,
time.
yeah.
And why don't you just kick us off with who are you, man? And a little bit about yourself.
That's a very introspective question. Who am I?
Who am I?
What's up? My name's Wesley, Bug. Don't care what you call me. All of those work. Been on the Whatnot team for, coming up on 4 years, but I've been a Whatnot seller for over 4 years. Been going live long time here at the company. I am our marketing producer. I work on all things production. I help sellers out, just making their shows look better, sound better, be better, all things like that. I don't know. I'm sure you could tell by how my camera looks. That's part of the job. But I'm a regular seller and also do cool production stuff here at the company.
Awesome. And you actually helped me out. When I started at Whatnot, I realized I should probably get a decent webcam, and Bug recommended those to me, and they've been serving me well ever since. And that was 3 years ago. So thank you for that. Why don't we dive in? Also, chat, listen, if you've got any questions for Bug about show production quality, so whether you have a question about a camera or a type of lighting or background or anything, I want you to drop your question in the chat, and our mod will pull it aside, and we'll get to as many of those as we can towards the end. But for now, I just want to run through some questions that I've already written out. I want to get to, and we'll get through those. But again, towards the last 15, 20 minutes of this show, we have it scheduled for 1 hour. We'll leave that for your questions. I see a bunch of questions coming in.
I like a lot of these Q&A questions. So
these are fantastic.
Yeah, these are so good.
And with that, why don't we start with, and we'll go to camera.
Sweet.
So with regards to lighting, how do you decide between a ring light or a softbox light? And maybe what are those?
That is a great question. Ring lights, personally, I would almost never recommend. They can be really good for face cam lighting. I'm not using one right now. And actually, I can show you guys what my entire lighting setup looks like, which is that. This is the command center. So to me, this is like one of the most ideal lighting setups that you can get for like a setup like this. As you can see, no ring light. I would never recommend a ring light for product lighting. So these two lights here up above, real high, these are soft boxes. Well, the soft boxes are what's like diffusing the light here. For product lighting, never ring light. Face lighting, you can do a ring light. And in regards to, what was the second part of that question, Kenny?
A softbox light, what is that?
Yeah. So that's what I have here. These two lights. These are actually my favorite lights that I've found recently, and I've been recommending them to a lot of sellers. They're pretty small and they're pretty powerful. And what a softbox is, it's just a style of light diffuser. So these are actually pretty small softboxes. They come way bigger. You'll see softboxes in studio setups, like movie studios, production studios, that like huge, like, octagonal shaped things that diffuse light. So yeah, that's what a softbox is.
Let me tell you something. Your setup is so top tier, man, and the chat is eating it up. So look, also we are also going to be sharing with you all our URL, Seller Academy.
whatnot.com/production guide.
Yeah. So there's a new section there in Seller Academy that does cover all of this equipment that we're going to be going over in great detail. selleracademy.whatnot.com production guide will take you to a very, very detailed run of all these things that we're covering. So if you're like, oh, what did he say? I missed that. What is that thing? It's all there. You can look at it at any point in time. And that's
And
a really,
also a
yeah.
lot of the products that I'm using here and that I'm going to talk about as we go through some product recommendations, those are all linked on that production guide. So like pretty much every product, well, almost every product I'm using today for this production is linked in that production guide.
Yeah. So it's all linked there and you could literally buy it. But I do want to, I think it's important. And shout out to Casey for mentioning this. Look, all you need to be successful on Whatnot is a phone. So what
Yeah.
you see here is truly like,
This is 4 years in the making. This
yeah,
is
4 years
like
in the making, but Bug is a
almost
production
unnecessary.
expert. Again, you guys might want to go down this road of making your set as incredible as possible, but just want to be clear, that is not a barrier to success on Whatnot. And you could slowly start to level up with a light, with a this, with a that. And some of you are already very large sellers, and you might want to consider like investing in a proper studio like Bug has. But I just wanted to be clear here. The idea here is to show you what it could look like, and so you have all the options and you can make your own decision. What would be one of the bigger mistakes that you see sellers making with regards to lighting, whether it's shadows or glare or any of that sort of stuff? Any like best practices there?
Yeah, I would say that, but the biggest driver of video quality, it all starts with lighting. Like straight off the phone, if you're just streaming from the app or you're using an iPhone camera or even like a bad webcam, lighting can make a bad camera look great. So I would say just like not learning enough about lighting and understanding that is probably the biggest mistake.
Amazing. And then if you could just kind of walk us through what a good lighting setup would look like. But I just want to say, like you said, there was really interesting, like bad lighting can make a very high quality camera look bad. And so it's important to get lighting dialed in. And so could you walk us through, like, imagine I'm a new seller. I come up to you, I say, hey, I have no setup, but what do you recommend that I do if I go ahead and invest in like box light?
Yeah, probably the simplest thing you can do is just get 2 light sources, position them. This applies we'll just talk in terms of a desktop-based setup. Like you're doing like cards, coins, something where like the product is in front of you and like shooting towards your body, like from your body into the product. You want your lights kind of like 45-degree angle, a little behind you and pretty far away. And larger light sources create less shadows, less glare. You want to create like even uniform lighting. You can also achieve this same look with like these panel lights, like this one that's lighting my face cam here. Those are pretty cheap on Amazon. Those are in the production guide as well. You can use 2 of those if you want them a little closer. But I think the top tips for having a good uniform lighting setup that doesn't have shadows, isn't too harsh, is like the bigger your light sources, the more powerful they are, and the further away from you they are. Like I have mine mounted like up here. They could be further. My space is kind of small here. I'm sure there's people that have smaller spaces than I do, but just creating these lights are just shooting a blanket of light just across this whole thing. Very minimal shadows, and play with your lighting as well. Obviously, different environments, like you'll want to move your lights around. You're going to want to dial in like power of the lights. So I guess that's basics on lighting.
I love it, man. It's incredible how
It's like arguably the most important rabbit hole that you should be going down before cameras, before audio. Get your lighting dialed in.
okay, that's also important, right? So lighting, I guess, is top of the list in terms of priorities. And it's true. Look, I mean, you could just scroll through Whatnot, and I think very, very quickly, if you land upon a stream, a show that has poor lighting, a lot of shadows, stuff like that, like it takes you like half a second to recognize that and usually you'll just scroll right out of it, right? And on the contrary, if you happen upon a stream that is like super nicely lit, bright, everything in the frame is clear, again, huge trust builder, right? Like if you're doing the front facing, again, a lot of the cards or coins and Pokemon, all that kind of show the card and not the face. But either way, lurking in the shadows, I mean, come on, like, people want to buy stuff, right? And they want to be able to see it clearly. And so, yeah, lighting is crucial.
Yeah. I think something that I didn't,
Yep.
I only talked in terms of like my experience with lighting, like with card streams, coins, things where it's like your hands are on camera. These same things apply to like, you are in front of the camera, you're standing up, maybe you're selling larger items like doing fashion, bags, accessories, you're a liquidation seller. Same principle, the lights would just be shooting at you. So double softbox setup or large light sources where they're just back there, one at a 45-degree angle off of you, but they're just shooting at you and your camera's down there and it's like shooting towards you. Same principle. Just wanted to clear that up.
Love that. And then, yeah, let's keep bringing it back to the fact that, look, this is like where it could go. It doesn't mean that you need all of this to be a successful seller. And even if you did want to buy a box light, there are super cheap, affordable options out there.
Yeah.
Like this isn't like, Hollywood. Yeah.
Those are super cheap. Those are like $50 and they're amazing.
That LED one right there?
Yeah, that panel. I've got those on the production guide as well. Those are linked so you can get links to all these products at that production guide.
So yeah, you could basically shop for whatever budget you're in and sort of make it happen. All right, let's pivot to audio. So what mic do you use and why?
So for a while, I switched between a couple different mics for different reasons. My absolute favorites right now, and I could show you, hey, look, another camera angle. There's a bunch of different people that make these wireless lav mics or lavalier mics. So these right here are DJI. You get two little mics. I'm sure you guys have maybe seen these on popular TikTok mic, right? The trend right now is to hold it in front of your face, which I find kind of silly. But I actually have one clipped on, a different one here. I'm using, these ones are made by Hollyland. The ones that I showed right before that are DJI. And they usually come with a little receiver that you can plug into your phone or your computer. And then like most of them are like 2-channel where you get 2 separate mics. Those are my favorite that I've been using for a while. There's a bunch of them in different price ranges too. I think these Hollyland ones that I'm using are like in the $100 range. The DJIs are a little more expensive, like $200 range. But there's also some off-brandish ones that still sound really, really good, have the same exact effect for like $30-$40. And also I have product recommendations for a budget one, a mid-tier one, and a really expensive one, all in that production guide as well. So those are my favorite mics to use currently because they're wireless. You just clip it on. Like you probably couldn't even see that I was wearing this tiny little clip-on lav mic. And I think it sounds pretty good.
It sounds great. It's very, very warm and crisp. And I'm using a mic that you recommended. I don't know if we can get it in the frame, but I don't have the fancy camera angles that Bug. This is a bigger mic. It's a Shure mic on a boom, and so on a thing I could kind of move it around. And I think that sounds also pretty decent. And again, the production guide is at selleracademy.whatnot.com/production guide. There are entry level, mid level, and then pro level options. And so if you do want to start somewhere, you could check out those different options. Again, want to harp on the fact that like none of this is required. But again, like as you're a seller, maybe you're trying to get a little bit more serious on your whatnot business. You may want to elevate the audio quality. And if not, you can continue to use your phone and that's all good too.
For sure.
And Bug, your username is literally Bug, right? BUG.
That is true.
Some people are saying, hey, can we pop into your show and see it in action? So yeah, Bug is just at BUG. Maybe we could pop that in the chat as well. On the mic situation, like what's the right place to keep it? I mean, yours is like right here, right on your body. Mine is a little bit away. Does it depend on the mic type? And then also, second part of that question would be like, if you're in a noisy place, any tips on avoiding background noise? Because that could be super distracting.
For sure. Yeah, a lot of the background noise stuff, there's 2 ways to handle that. Either the type of mic that you choose will greatly affect that. These little clip-on lav mics, a lot of them have a really good background noise removal. I think I have the background noise removal turned on mine right now, but like these Hollyland ones I got, these DJI ones that I have, they all have like really good background noise removal processing built into the mics. So that's one way. And also like these lav mics, they don't pick up that much background noise anyway. They're meant to be right up in your space. Lines right here, they clip on straight to your chest. They don't pick up anything super far away. That's one great way to handle it. If you're using OBS, there's a lot of audio filtering that you can add there. There's also separate programs that you can install for Mac and Windows that do really intelligent background noise removal filtering and processing. It's another way. I think probably the biggest thing is to think about when you're selecting your microphone is like think about your environment. Like, do you have a lot of background noise? If you do, I would go with one of these like, clip-on lav mics. And also, do you want the mic in your face like Kenny's, where you have to have it right there? I could just rant about audio and mics for so long. There's like condenser mics, cardioid mics, mics with like different patterns that pick up sound in different areas. And like, if you know anything about like recording vocals or any audio engineering stuff, like, you'll kind of know what I'm talking about here. And there's a very basic take on this, but the type of mic that you choose, that's kind of how you would deal with background noise the best way.
I love it. That's super helpful. And also, you touched on OBS. And for the chat who's asking what that is, we're going to get into that towards the end. Essentially, it's just another piece of software that you can use to provide different angles and be able to add these overlays, sort of like you see here, and the way that Bug is kind of cycling through different camera angles. That's a free software that he's using, and we'll touch on it. Again, it's a little bit more advanced. I don't use it when I go live, and I've been going live for like 3 years. But some people really enjoy that element of being a Whatnot seller, all of the techie side of it, and like, getting really dialed in on it. And so if you're interested in that stuff, you could definitely check out OBS, which we'll touch on in a minute. I want to pivot now to camera and framing. So how do you think about camera angles, and what should the seller aim to capture?
What should you aim to capture?
And then also, what angles do you think are ideal?
Interesting. Yeah. I think what you should be aiming to capture is just like think product first. How are you going to best show off the product that you're selling? It's the same way as like visual merchandising, like your store. So you at a prime retail location and people are walking by all the time. How are you going to get them to come into your store? Visual merchandising. I think it's the same way you'd want to think about that as a live stream seller on Whatnot. When people enter your show, you want them to see the products that you're selling. Like, first and foremost, you want to get them to stay. So obviously your camera angle should focus on like the product that you're selling. Is this an interesting time to plug like products that can help out with that?
No, go for it, man. I mean, again,
Yeah.
look, these are all optional, right? These products, they're not required, and
Yeah.
they're cheap, what would you call it? Alternatives to all of these
Yeah.
options.
Well,
But
I
yeah,
would say one of these is required, and that's how to mount your phone to get it, like whether it's a phone stand or a phone mount. So I would say that maybe is required in some
okay,
way. You need to
let's hear
stabilize
about it.
Yeah.
Man.
So in regards to that, I guess like, you need some way to stabilize your video feed. Obviously, first and foremost, I think that's the one product that truly is kind of required to go live on Whatnot is a way to stabilize your feed. I mean, I guess you could hold your phone in your hand and use one hand to show off your products, but like nobody does that. You're not going to do that. So first and foremost, I pretty much mount everything to my desk just to free up a lot of space. You can use a phone stand that sits on your desk, but for the same price, you can also get like a clamp on mount that's what I'm using for like, this is my product cam here. It's mounted a little differently, but like something like this, like a cheap arm mount, I think these are about $20 and they come with this phone stand. I would just clamp this right onto my desk right there. And then I have just like this very quick modular, I can move this around, lock it in at this angle here. If I want to move, if I want to go back, show some bigger items on my stream. So like, start there. Get a quality way to mount it that just like, rock solid. You don't want it to be like bouncing around while you're tapping on your screen. Like that's probably my biggest.
Yeah,
recommendation.
I feel you on that one too. I mean, sometimes I go into a stream and you almost get motion sick. You definitely want to keep steady angle, steady advantage on your product that you're trying to sell.
I see people saying that in the chat too. They're like, hate the jittery video. Yeah. So, I mean, with a phone stand like this, once I, lock all these together, like if I'm tapping on the screen, it won't wiggle around. And if you don't want this long arm, you can use something like this with a shorter arm. This is actually what I have mounted on my camera down here. I know you could probably barely see this, but like if this was a phone mounted here and I was touching the screen, you probably wouldn't even be able to see it shake at all because it's just like rock solid. Whereas with a phone stand that's not, clamped to my desk or mounted, like, you'd see some of that jiggle and the phone would shake and stuff. So that's huge thing that'll just instantly improve your show quality if you're going live from the phone and you're tapping on the screen a lot. Mount it. Rock solid.
And all these products that Bug is kind of walking us through, you can find them all in the link that is pinned below, selleracademy.whatnot.com. production guide. There's, again, descriptors. It's very in-depth article on all of these things. And they're even linked that you can click on them, take you right to the buying site. Where's that, Amazon, Bug? Or
Yeah, most of them are Amazon.
most are Amazon. Yeah, and again, there are various price points on all of these types of things, starting from like super entry level, very affordable, to like mid tier, to like professional level equipment. So definitely check that out. I think it's a superb resource if you are interested in like products that can level up your production quality. So, and then what are your thoughts on like using multiple camera angles? And then I guess you kind of talked about different stability, but I see like, if you go to that one view where it's like your back, there's like this whole sort of like cage up above you
Yeah.
that all kinds of different things are clamped onto. So what is that about? And then when would you recommend multiple camera angles?
Yeah, I think my first thought on the matter is like not necessary, but depending on going the route of having multiple camera angles, like you have to use OBS, you have to have external cameras. It's a big investment in
Mhm,
business. It's not right for everybody. It's
mhm,
totally not necessary either to be a successful seller. For me, when I first started getting into this stuff, it was just like pure hobby. I'm just like an AV nerd, was never an AV professional. The most AV professional I've been is like here at Whatnot at the company, and kind of just like stemmed from like, having a hobby in video production, making YouTube videos a long time ago and stuff, streaming on Twitch, and then which perfectly fed into Whatnot. But just wanted to preface that by saying like, totally not necessary. For me, it's just like I'm nerding out on gear because it's fun for me. Some people might like struggle with it. You know, it's also can be quite expensive. Like for me, it's more of just like having the option to switch between this. And it can also be very convenient for people depending on what kind of product they have. You know, you might see it in like a lot of the bigger sellers, mostly like sports and Pokemon utilize OBS most commonly. And they'll switch between different angles, or like say, you know, you have a show where you need to show off like, a ton of product. Like, yeah. And then some people just use it to have a face cam. Like, and I personally really like shows where I can see the host's face as well. Totally, once again, not for everybody and not necessary, but I like to connect with the person, connect with the seller. I like to connect with my audience, the people that are watching my shows. So yeah, I'd say the biggest reason for it for me is I like having a face cam. So I think first and foremost for me, it's about connecting with the audience, having that face cam, that interaction. And then second is just like convenience of the choice of being able to like, go wider, go tighter, have multiple angles to show off things. That's yeah.
That's it's really great information. I mean, I'm learning things myself here, and so look, the reality is, I think there's not a one size fits all approach to any of this, right? It's like it depends on you as an individual, depends on your level of investment in your Whatnot business, depends on the category you sell in. It depends on like so many different variables. But like no matter what, you want a clean image and you want some good lighting. All of that will help buyers trust your business, trust you, trust your product. At the end of the day, I think that's kind of like a common thread is like whether you're using just your phone with good lighting and in a cool space or whatever, or you're using a setup like Bugs, which is like for pro level. All of that is just you want to do that so that you can make people who are watching your show, number one, it'll be enjoyable and delightful for them to tune in and watch well produced show. Again, having good light, having a good resolution on your camera, all that sort of stuff is like it's just kind of like what Bug said. Imagine if you had a brick and mortar store at the strip mall and the window to the store was like super filthy and like you couldn't really see the products and it was dark inside even when the store was open. It's like, not great for building a trust or any foot traffic. Just kind of treat it like that. I mean, it's a virtual storefront essentially.
So that's definitely the greatest way to like make a comparison there is like you wouldn't
Yeah.
go into a sketchy, dirty store where you can't see any of the products.
And then it's like, again, you don't have to break the bank here by any stretch, but like if you keep that, I guess, sort of like perspective where like, yeah, this is a virtual storefront. I am showcasing goods that are for sale live to anyone who wants to tune in anywhere in the world. And I should probably make that pretty tight and nice. And
100%.
like that's like the bottom line, I think, with all of this. So definitely let's talk a little bit about set and presentation. So you got your camera good, you got your lighting, it's clear. How do you keep your background clean but still visually interesting?
Okay, cool. Yeah. For me, I like my background would be like shooting, like my product camera is right here mounted on my desk. And like for desktop based sellers, like cards, coins, comics, smaller items, die cast, Kenny, good example for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You are shooting like, into the product and not towards you. You're shooting like from your point of view. For things like that, you have a relatively narrow space to show off your background. For me, and you'll see a lot of other like sports sellers and TCG, Pokemon, they have a TV or a monitor as their background. I've had this for so long. I think my like very first Whatnot setup had like a TV as the background. I don't even know where I got the idea to do that, but I was doing it so early on, and just being able to put like cool motion background, or if I want to put info back there, like I used to have like people's names on the screen. I've used it for so many different things. And then aside from that, I took down all my products so it wasn't distracting. But depending on what category you're in, I think the coolest thing to show off in your background is show your love for the product that you're selling. Like, if you have a personal collection of items, whether it's like trading cards, coins, anything you have, or your most expensive items, things you're proud of, things you have in your buy it now that people can just buy at any time, I think are all really good examples of things to show off in your background. And then same for, say, like fashion sellers, bag sellers, stuff like that, where you're like shooting towards yourself. You'll often see people with like big shelves like I have back there. I was selling handbags right now, and I had a bunch of them in the buy it now, or maybe I'd put some of my own handbags back there, and people are like, "Oh, what's that? What's that red Louis Vuitton bag back there?" You're like, "Oh, that's actually my personal bag. Thanks for asking." Gives you a way to like connect with the audience. So yeah, creating your background, I think, should show off relevant product or things that are relevant to the category that you're selling in, or the types of products you're selling in. I think it's a good conversation starter, where I get this all the time. Like when I'm live, I sell trading cards. So I'll have either graded cards or singles from either my personal collection or stuff that's in the buy it now, just like lined up at the back of the setup, like shooting this way. And people will come in and be like, "Whoa, what's that card back there? Oh, how much is that?" I'm like, "Hey, it's in the buy it now." So it's a good opportunity
Yeah.
to just like show off, whether
No,
it's like
totally.
stuff people can buy or just stuff you're passionate about. That's, yeah.
I love it. And I think maybe it's even easier to answer like what's not a good background. And what's not a good background is like a super messy like, background, right? Or I don't know, just a messy bedroom with like trash piled up and stuff like that. Imagine like, again, you're walking into a store, you don't want to see that, right? So make sure that the space behind you or just right behind you as a seller is appealing, is clean, it's organized, and like Doug said, it optimally conveys sort of like what you're selling and what you're about. Like
Talking about this stuff.
there's a lot of great questions. I want to make sure we get to them. So let's maybe rapid fire through the rest of the prepared questions.
Let's do it.
All right, let's talk about rehearsal and prep. How do you use rehearsal mode before a show? So there's a lot of new sellers here, I'm sure, who may have never even gone live yet, and maybe they're a little nervous about going live for the first time. What is rehearsal mode, and then how do you use it?
Rehearsal Mode is super cool. It's available on both iOS and Android, correct? Is that
Yes.
correct? Okay,
Correct.
figured as much. Yeah, it's a really dope feature that we have that drops you into like a live environment. It's like a simulated Whatnot live show. If you haven't gone live before, if there's any new sellers in the chat or people who are like, you're a little apprehensive about going live, or you're scared for your first show because you don't know what that's going to look like, Rehearsal Mode is super dope because it'll drop you into like what looks like an active live show with buyers. It's got chat. It's got like products in there. So you can like simulate what it would be like on your first show without having a live audience there. So you can like, really get a feel for how to run your products, what it looks like when people bid on stuff, when people purchase things, what it looks like when, you know, you have questions in the chat, et cetera, et cetera. And also like, it's not a real show, but like it's your video feed with like simulated Whatnot events on top of it. Super dope feature. Highly recommend checking it out. Even if you're like a seasoned seller and you haven't ever used Rehearsal Mode, check it out. It's super cool.
Yeah, super cool. Essentially an interactive tutorial. Super,
Yeah.
super nice. Great. And then the other thing is like, you could also schedule your show and mark it as private, right? So say you do want to do your first show and you're a little nervous. So I could schedule the show and I could send that link to Bug, my buddy. I'll say, "Hey dude, can you tune in? I'm gonna like do a little private show. Just let me know how the audio is. Let me know if the lighting is good. Can you hear me all right? Can you see me?" And then you can invite your friends and family and do a little show there. That's totally
Yeah.
private. It won't be in the feed. No one can discover it. Only folks that can get in it are people who you sent the link to or got the link through someone else. And so that's another idea. Again, if you're just getting started and you want to like, test the waters.
I also, yeah, I use private mode shows all the time for that, especially when I'm using OBS and like I have a new camera angle or want to try out new audio or hear what my music sounds like, private mode shows. And then I, like Kenny said, send the link to friends or family. But also, even if I was just live from the phone with like a private mode show and I wanted to see what that experience looks like from a different device, I can just pop open that show link on like, my laptop or like, I don't know, your mom's phone or your partner's phone or whatever, and you could see what that private mode show looks like. So yeah, huge plug for private mode shows, really good for testing stuff out, audio, cameras, just see what that looks like in an actual live environment.
Love it. And then also chat, if you're, say you're been selling for a while, you've got a pretty big audience and you want to reward some of your top buyers, you could schedule a private show and then DM them the link and say, hey, you're one of my top 10 buyers. I'm doing a private show with crazy deals just from my biggest buyer. Again, you could use private mode in a lot of different ways, and I think it's pretty cool. Is there any sort of checklist that you go through before you hit that go live button? Like in terms of like your setup?
Yeah, not so much anymore because this thing is just like so dialed in. It's just like getting in the cockpit of like a spaceship that I've been flying around the galaxy for years and years. Like, yeah, I think a good checklist would just be make sure it depends what device you're using, obviously. Like if you go live from the phone, I'm only thinking in terms of production, but I mean, make sure your space is clean, make sure your products are organized. Something that this is my like pre-live checklist is like get all my products right in front of me. For my cards, I use these organizer boxes where it's like got all my singles like here in a row and like put them in like the order that I want to run them. So that's probably step one of my pre-live checklist is like, get your product in order, make sure you know what you're going to run on that show, get it all there so you're ready to go. If somebody asks for something, just have your product like readily available. Second thing would, I don't know, check your lighting, pop open a private mode show or rehearsal mode, see what that looks like we just talked about. Audio is a big one. Yeah. If I ever change anything about my audio setup, I test that with a private mode show beforehand every time. Yeah, I guess I don't have a great answer for that, but I hope
That is a great answer. It's a great answer, man. I mean, look, I think again, it's one of those things. The more you do it, the more it becomes second nature, and it's like becomes a well-oiled machine. But yeah, I mean, again, the big ones are like, sure, you're organized. Make sure the kids aren't running around making a bunch of noise. Like you want to just have a moment where you can go live and things are chill, and you could commit yourself like all your attention to that and be present and all that. Or kids or dogs or whatever, right? Like could be. So I think we're going to skip on OBS because we've got a lot of questions, but rather than skip it, maybe just what is OBS Bug and where can people learn more about it?
Yeah. Okay. So I actually have a super comprehensive tutorial on OBS that is on the Whatnot YouTube channel. It's also linked everywhere on Whatnot. It's in our help center. We have a whole article about it. It's on the actual page for Whatnot. When you go live on OBS, the tutorial's there. It's on our YouTube channel. Just search Whatnot OBS on Google. The top result will be our Help Center article. Don't follow any other video tutorials. A lot of them are outdated. They're made by other people that don't have all the proper info. Please watch my tutorial. It's the best. Plugging, but it is our official tutorial made by the people that wrote the feature. So yeah, definitely check that out. But what OBS is, stands for Open Broadcaster Software. It's basically, think of like sports broadcast where they're able to switch camera angles or do a split screen and also have like overlay with like newscasters, like name is there or like weather is scrolling by. OBS can do that. That's what like broadcasting software is. It's for like multi-camera overlaying images, videos, text, et cetera, et cetera. You're basically just like compositing all these elements together into like one live video feed. So like in OBS, right now I'm running 3 cameras. This is being done with OBS. I'm using the OBS virtual camera as my camera here on this Whatnot show. And this show is actually being ran through OBS as well. So we have like 2 layers of OBS for this show, which is crazy. But right now I have 3 different cameras plugged into OBS that I can switch between. And I could have music playing in the background. I could have different microphones. Like if I had 10 people in this room, each one of them could have a different mic if I wanted to. It's just, OBS is just, you can do anything you want with audio, video, text. It just all comes into one place.
I love it. Yeah, OBS is cool. Definitely not a requirement or
it's
even
a journey.
Necessary.
Be prepared to learn a lot of new things.
Again, I think it might be cool if you're more like technically inclined and you really like that sort of like production challenge. That could be good, but definitely not a requirement. I mean, some of the biggest sellers on Whatnot have never used OBS, and so they don't need it, but it is an option. Okay, we're about to get to these questions from the chat. I guess before we do, if someone can fix only one thing this week, right, about their production, lighting, audio, framing, what would you recommend? And I think you touched upon it earlier, but
this is like the easiest answer in the world for me. Lighting. It's 100% lighting. Fix your lighting. Learn about lighting. Like you can be live from the phone. You could be live from the worst webcam of all time. Like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, and maybe some of you weren't there for that, but good lighting makes a bad camera look the best it possibly can. Good lighting can make cheap cameras just 10 times better. And then bad lighting can make expensive cameras look 10 times worse. So literally, it just, I cannot dial this in enough as my biggest plug for production quality. Lighting, lighting, lighting. Look up, man, I do need to make a lighting guide, like proper explainer, but there's so many people out there that have already made content around like, proper lighting setups. Like I would just hop on YouTube and look up like a good video lighting setup. And also go to the selleracademy.whatnot.com/production guide where these lights are linked. The ones that I'm using, you can buy these straight from there. That light I'm using for my face cam also linked there. So those product recommendations come straight from me and they're what you see here. This is how I look. This is why my setup looks like it does because of these lights. And yeah.
I love it. Lighting, lighting, lighting. And then also maybe challenge yourself. Maybe you could ask ChatGPT, say, hey, I am a live stream seller on Whatnot. Give me 3 tips on lighting. And you could probably get some really good ones there. But I guess if you're going to take one thing away from here, all the things we covered, I guess lighting has the biggest impact. And also probably the easiest one to get right, like in terms of budget, you know?
Easy, can be very cheap. Cheap lighting, super effective. There's really good budget options that like straight out the gate will just make your show look so much better.
Love it. All right. You ready for some questions from the chat?
Dude, let's do it. I'm stoked.
All right, let's get it. Okay, first question comes from K Peters 001. So helpful. What do you recommend if you're moving around your shop most of the live? It's a great question. So like,
oh yeah. I mean, the best thing I would recommend for that is steady camera or gimbal. Actually, I have one linked on the production guide as well. It's I mean, they basically balance either your phone or whatever camera you're using with motors, and they keep your phone like rock solid, very smooth. So if you're walking around a lot, that's a core part of your stream. I would invest in a gimbal, 100%. Steady cam.
Yeah, totally. And they got some really great ones in the market as well.
And you can also attach that to like tripods. If you're walking around and then you want to like just set it there for like a camera angle, like that you can also do that.
Love it. Next question comes from Pipers Playing. Instead of OBS, can we just use an audio interface for a mic and background?
Yeah. So that was something that that's the question I call that I wanted to answer, because on Android right now, I believe the answer is yes, it just works. I was testing this earlier in the week on iOS. It might currently be working. I need to get back with a concrete answer on that. I know there were a couple issues around it with like changes made to iOS. Like iOS 26 has a new like selector thing. But I plugged in a Scarlett 2i2 audio interface to my phone the other day. It did work. I was able to select that. I plugged in like a synthesizer, like a music making machine that I have, and I played that straight into my stream. So yeah, interfaces work. I want to be very careful about this because they work for me during my testing. I don't know if it's public yet, but they will or should eventually work on both iOS and Android. And same thing, it's the same thing with like lav mics here. You should be able to plug these into your phone and get better audio straight out of the phone using the Whatnot app. And same with like audio interface.
Love it.
And D-Archivist says they work, so I'll trust it.
Hey, let's go. All right. This one comes from LaDonna's Boutique Shop, and we kind of covered it, but maybe we could touch on it again, is should I show my face when I'm selling?
That's all up to you. Some people are really comfortable being on camera. Some people just aren't at all. Either way, it's totally fine. Just about the environment that you want to foster and like what you're comfortable with, like what, it's about what works for you. You absolutely don't have to show your face. Personally, I like watching a seller whose face I can see. I like to connect with them. If you're cool with it, I think it can create trust 100%. Yes. Like if they know the person that they're buying from, they can see you, talk to you. I think it can definitely help with buyer trust, get people to immediately be comfortable buying from you, but you absolutely don't have to.
Yeah. And also if you are a newer seller and you haven't gone live yet, and the thing that's keeping you from going live is like, I don't want to show my face, so I'm nervous, then don't. Just go live and show your hands and show the product.
I believe we also have a feature on iOS, I'm not sure about Android, where you can use both cameras on the phone at the same time, where you can pop the front-facing camera up on the phone as your face cam. Is that the face cam feature still exists, right? Is that correct?
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah, I haven't used it for a long time, but
you can do both.
It's in the 3-dot menu. When you start your show, you can click the face cam option and it'll pop open it'll have both your cameras on your phone running the Whatnot app at the same time. Super cool.
Yeah, very cool. Next question is from Mama Cran is asking you, how does a newbie start up leveling their production quality without breaking the bank?
Go to my production guide because I have very good product recommendations that are tested by not only me, but many other sellers and broken down for all levels of budget. And I also break them down by, hey, are you just going live from the phone? If so, here's recommendations that you can use with the app. Everything from like phone stands to lighting to microphones for all budgets. I would say the best way to start up leveling is just like look through my product list, see what I'm recommending and like why I'm recommending it. I, have very nicely written out info above each section that explains like, why I'm recommending things, what they are, what they do, what they're for. So I would definitely start there and just, I guess, dive in further after that. Start looking up similar products, think of what else you could possibly do or what you want to do to your show. But yeah, start with the production guide. I spent a lot of time on that and I hope it's helpful.
Yeah, no, I love it. And again, that production guide, just check it out. Even if you're not interested, it's just there's so much good information in it that I think will be insightful for
Yep.
literally any whatnot seller. Um,
100%.
New seller or huge seller that has employees and a whole warehouse and all that, everything in between. It's just a great guide. So also shout out to you, Bug, for putting it together.
Thank you. That was a really
Yes.
fun one to put together.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do that for so long and
I
finally
know you
just
have. I
dove
literally
in.
know you have because we
Yeah,
talked
yeah.
like years ago.
It's really great. It's pinned down below, but it's selleracademy.whatnot.com/production guide. So yeah,
Love
it's for
that.
all sellers. If you're going live from your phone, it's not just OBS. It's not just expensive stuff. It's not only for pro sellers. Every whatnot seller, go there.
T Ferg 420 is asking, is there a way to run a test show before we go live? And we mentioned it, but
That
cover it real quick. Yeah.
Yeah, you got two options. Rehearsal mode, which is super cool. It'll buyers chat, mock products. So like, that's a great way to do it. And then also you can schedule private mode shows and you can do private mode shows both from the app or from OBS. Yeah, those are two good ways to do test shows.
Yep. And again, you can go to help.whatnot.com and you could search rehearsal mode or you could search private shows. Definitely recommend, look, if you're a seller here, I definitely recommend bookmarking or just keeping that URL in the back of your mind. Next question comes from Samari Tanave. I'm sorry if I got the name wrong. How do you change your camera angle like that? And so OBS question there, but yeah.
Yeah, it's all done with OBS. The only way to do this would be by using OBS with whatnot. And yeah, I mean, it's one of the core features of OBS is being able to add multiple different cameras or video sources, just like switching camera angles, switching scenes, just different stuff. Let's just like
Yeah.
core functionality of OBS.
It's very cool. I think with that, we'll wrap. There's a couple of questions, Bug, just generally
Yeah.
about how do I attract buyers. And I think, look, I'll take a crack at that. All the things that we talked about here can definitely help you attract buyers, first of all. But also, go to selleracademy.whatnot.com and there are guides in there that'll help you attract buyers, right? Live stream selling that is truly like an art form. And there's so much to it, right? Everything from the production to your inventory to how are you engaging and authentic during your life. So I would check that out. And I think with that, Bug, look, thank you so much, man.
Of course.
I'd love to run this back maybe next year, first quarter or something like that. I think this is one of those where it's just great information and then people can kind of do with it as they want. But thank you for
I'm
taking
going to plug something real quick too.
Yes.
Since there are so many questions and so many people seem to either want help with this or they're interested in this stuff, I'll do a Q&A show. Drop me a follow. Don't tune into my normal shows if you're not a fan of anime and trading cards because that's all I sell. But I will schedule a show where I'll do a production Q&A on my own. We can talk more in depth about OBS and stuff. Sounds super fun. I've been wanting to do that. So just want to plug that. Drop me a follow. It's @bug. Yeah, I will get that show scheduled out, find a good time to do it. So anybody else, any questions, OBS related, production, I don't know, just hang out and chat. I've never done a community show and I need to. So let's do it.
Yeah, man, you absolutely need to. That's so cool. Thank you so much for offering that. Chat, take him up on that. Bug is a pro. He's been selling on Whatnot longer than he's been working at Whatnot. So
This is true.
hit him up and just generally legend. Thank you, Bug. And thank you, chat. Thank you for coming through, hanging out with us. Hope you learned something. Make sure to follow Whatnot Sellers, bookmark our upcoming shows. And with that, we're going to raid a seller that is called Amanda's Vintage Finds. Are y'all ready? She's got 6 people in there. So let's pull up, make
Let's
this
go,
seller's
guys.
day.
Let's go, chat.
Yeah, show some love in the chat
Show
when we
love.
get there. And we'll catch y'all in the next one. Thank you so much, Bug. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, thank you, Kenny.
Love it, man.
All right, see
Peace.
y'all.